Hey there YouTube! It's been a little bit since my last reading wrap up, so that's what you're gonna get today. This is everything I have read recently. Since my last recent reads video, I have read a total of 9 books. I think I'm a little bit behind on my reading goal for the year, but I have a huge TBR and so much to get through, so I'm pretty sure I'll be able to catch up. The first book I read is Why Not Be by Mindy Kaling. This is a nonfiction memoir from Mindy Kaling. She is a comedian and actress and writer. So I'm actually not that familiar with Mindy Kaling. I don't watch the Mindy Project or anything like that, so I don't really know like her humor or like I don't know her voice, and I think that is what made this book like kind of not that interesting to me. Basically just a collection of essays about things Mindy has experienced, and I just like didn't find it that funny, but also like I don't know Mindy's voice. I think a lot of the time with like celebrity memoirs, knowing the person or knowing like their voice is really important to kind of like get the book. A lot of the time I was kind of like, why is this here? Like, what's the point of this? That's kind of where I stand on this. I rated this book 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. And the thing that drew me to this book initially was pretty much just the cover, because this cover is like so pretty and so beautiful. I loved this book so much. So basically this book is about 2 teenagers. One is a illegal immigrant, Natasha, and she is on her last day in the US before she gets deported back to Jamaica with her family. And Daniel, who is Korean, and he is the second son and has kind of spent his whole life living up to the expectations set by his parents and by his older brother, and is now dealing with having to take over the responsibility of being the successful one after his brother has failed out of school. So these 2 people, they meet and they fall in love, and it is so cute and so adorable and kind of like heartbreaking. This book was so cinematic to me. I felt like I could see everything, and I'm like, oh, this would be like so good as a movie. So just like the visuals in it were really great, and it just like, I don't know, I loved it so much, and it was a really great like diverse read because there's like no white people in this book. So I really liked this book a lot, and if they aren't making it into a movie soon, they need to, because it's so good. Of course, I gave The Sun Is Also a Star 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read a graphic novel, and it is Zodiac Star. This is by Kevin Panetta and Pauline Ganarchiu. I don't know if I said that right. But this is a like magical girl graphic novel comic series, and I am in love. It is so good, and it is so bright, and it is so colorful, and it's amazing. So the thing that I like about this is that it's not an origin story, it's kind of like a re-origin story, because this group of teenage girls has already been a superhero, crime fighting, monster fighting team for a while. They have stopped, and now they are like wrenched back into it, and it is so interesting. I love that there's a lot of diverse characters. There's black characters. I think there's some of these characters are Asian. There's fat characters, like not straight characters. It is so awesome, and it is like a magical girl thing. They have transformation scenes, and it's just like, it's just everything that I want ever. Of course, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read a nonfiction kind of collection book, and it is called The Secret Loves of Geek Girls. This book is like super interesting. I saw it while I was just kind of like browsing the shelves at the store, and I picked it up. I was like, anything with geek girls I'm like instantly drawn towards. And just I looked at the cover, I was like, that really looks cool, and then I looked at like the first page, and there's like a girl in Lolita, and then there's like cosplayers, and I was like, oh my god, I need this book no matter what it is. This is a collection of essays and comics and art by a bunch of different writers and just like kind of prominent geek girls and artists, and it is all about being a geek girl and being in love, and that might mean like relationship struggles or kind of discovering your sexuality and like what it means to be in a relationship or things like that. And it is just like a wonderful collection, and I just want everyone to read it. I love that there's a collection of just like artists, and then there's like prose, and it's just like, it's so good, and it's all so different and so diverse. Like gets so many different perspectives, and I learned a lot about different things, like things I haven't experienced and like wouldn't know if like I never experienced them myself. I don't know, it was such an educational read and it was such a fun read. There's a lot of personality in all of the comics and in the essays, and it's just so good. Like everyone, if you identify as like a nerd girl or something like that, or even like a dude, like read this because it is so great and it is so helpful. This is also something you don't have to sit and read right through. You can kind of just pick it up and like read whatever you want. I kind of skipped around through the book and it took me a few weeks to read it, but I just loved it so much. So The Secret Loves of Geek Girls gets 5 out of 5 stars. Next I read Dear Ijaweli, or A Feminist Manifesto in 15 Suggestions by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I probably butchered all of that, but I loved this book so much. Basically, this is kind of like an email that the author sent to a friend. Her friend emailed her asking her, how do I raise my child to be a feminist? And so this is basically like what she told her friend. And it is just like so good. I like highlighted and like marked up things that I thought were important or things that resonated with me in this, and it was just so good. It's so like short and sweet and like to the point. And this I feel like is a great thing for if you want to start talking about feminism or you don't know how to talk about feminism. It's like a great starting point on how to like put thoughts into words, because I was reading it and I was like, oh, I've definitely like experienced that or thought that, and this has just put it in like really great words. It's also like super short and super fast to read, so it doesn't take up a lot of your time, but it is the most valuable time you will have. It's so good. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas, and this is the 4th book in the Throne of Glass series, which is a series I'm trying to get through, and oh my god, guys, the first 2 books of this series are super good, and then the 3rd one is like kind of like, oh, what are you doing? And this one is like, why are you doing this to me? Like when I first started this series, I didn't really get like why a lot of people like kind of hating on this series, and now I totally get it because it takes a direction that you don't want it to take at all. Development between characters and things that just like I don't like it at all. I can't. A lot of this book I was yelling at the characters because they just weren't listening to each other, and I was just like, why is this taking so long to do anything? It's just like way too long. The last like 100 pages of this book though are like really good. It like finally gets to like the point and is so good, so good. So the last 100 pages just like saved this for me. Of course I'm going to finish up this series because I need to know how it ends, but I'm just like, how is this gonna take 2 more books? And then there's that whole other book that they just announced about Kale, and I will snatch that up immediately because Kale is the only thing that I care about in this series right now, let's be honest. So I gave Queen of Shadows 3 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Everything by Nicola Yoon. This book is about a girl who has a sickness and she is kept inside, and that has prevented her from like experiencing life, and then a new family moves next door and she like kind of develops this relationship with the boy next door. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is a twist in here that I was not expecting, and I was shocked. It like is surprisingly dark, and yeah, so that's all I'm gonna say about that. I feel like this book also does kind of romanticize illness a little bit, so that kind of sucks, but all in all, it's like kind of cute. I also really liked the combination of kind of like drawings and like text-based conversations that the characters had in this book. I thought that was really interesting, and there's some really great moments where the drawings like directly like say something about the story or like help move the story along, and it's just really interesting that's in this book. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I also read 2 audiobooks. I read the Circle of Magic Sandry book by Tamora Pierce. So this is actually like a reread for me. I read these books when I was a kid, and I just signed up for a library card and to get audiobooks, and I was kind of scrolling through things to read, and none of the ones that I really wanted to read were available, so I saw that this was there and I was like, oh, I'll listen to that right now because it's nostalgic. So I remember really liking these books as a kid, but I don't remember anything about them. There were very small little details that kind of stuck with me, but the general plot line, didn't remember that at all. It was really nice to like kind of go back and meet with these characters again, and it's just like a really cute, fun, interesting story. I'm probably gonna listen to the other ones on audiobook through my library. So yeah, I gave The Circle of Magic 5 out of 5 stars. Also read A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab on audiobook, and I really liked this. I've been wanting to read this series forever, and I finally got around to it in some form. I read it on audiobook. I felt like it was a little bit slow, and also I didn't really like the narrator on the audiobook, but I'm really excited to read the rest of this series because I'm excited to see where it goes. Honestly, like, this book could have just ended just right there. I like how it is like open to having other books, and of course there are 2 other books. So I like that the first book is like a contained story, but then has the option of going more. I gave A Darker Shade of Magic 4 out of 5 stars. I'm not counting this towards my reading goal because it's not really a book, it's more of a short story that was put into the form of a book, but it is Kindred Spirits by Rainbow Rowell, and I got this on Independent Bookstore Day, and I'm so happy and so excited that I have it because I love Rainbow Rowell, and I've been wanting to get my hands on a copy of this forever, but it was only released in England, and I kind of like missed the bus on like how to get a copy of it, like for free or whatever, and the only copies of the original that I could find were like $50 on Amazon, and I was like, I don't have that much money to pay for a small book. I was super excited when she announced that she was releasing it on Independence Bookstore Day, so I raced to the bookstore to get it, and I'm so happy because I love it, and it was super cute. I just love this so much. Low-key still looking for the original copy of it. Even though I'm not counting it towards my reading goal or anything like that, 5 out of 5 stars because it's so cute and so great. Also worth mentioning, a book I started reading but decided to give up, and I'm probably going to give it away, and that is Trial by Fire by Josephine Angelini. I made a whole video about DNFing books and about this book in particular, so you can go and check that out if you want to hear my thoughts on this, but just like 0 stars, I hate this so much, it's so bad. That is everything that I have read recently. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books, what you think about them, or if you've read anything interesting lately that you think I might like. Alright, that's all I've got for you guys today. I'm Chrissy Lou. Till next time, matane!